Okay guys, this is a tank build I've been using for the PACT Climax mission. For the signature weapon, I'm also using the crossbow with this one, and that gives you extra protection from leads. For the mods, I'm using Salutation. It sets enemies within a radius on fire. If you want, you can also use Zealot. The next important mod I'm using is Rupert's Tear. When you break any plate of a tank's armor, all other armor plates are broken. When this happens, you apply bleeding to enemies within 15 meters of the target. I'm also using Mismanagement and Batter Up, but you can use anything in these two slots. For the primary gun, I'm using the GR9 LMG, and it comes with LMG damage, damage to target out of cover, and damage to armor. And the talent I'm using is Frenzy. For every 10 bullets in the magazine capacity, gain 3% rate of fire and 3% weapon damage for 9 seconds when reloading from empty. For the secondary, I'm using the Huntsman with assault rifle damage, health damage, and damage to target out of cover. And the talent, Perfect Frenzy. For every 8 bullets in the magazine, gain 3% rate of fire and 3% weapon damage for 9 seconds. So Frenzy gives you a lot of damage on this tank build. For the pistol, I use the Mosquito. I use the Mosquito mostly to mark enemies, so my allies can get more damage, and I myself can get more damage from my guns. Comes with pistol damage and headshot damage. If you look at the talent, which is called Mosquito Song, hitting an enemy applies a stack. Stacks are shared between players. At 5 stacks, the enemy will forcibly target the last player to apply a stack for 5 seconds and take 25% more damage to armor. Stacks deplete every 5 seconds. Activating the effect on an enemy will remove all stack from other enemies. So that's pretty good for your DPS players in the group. Let's go into the mask. I'm using the Catharsis mask with armor, income repairs, and armor regen. And I have a protection from elites mod. And the talent, Vicious Cycle. Vicious Cycle, taking damage builds stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack grants 50% weapon damage. So that's where I'm getting some of the damage from on this build. Taking damage at max stacks triggers a purge, removing all stacks and status effects, and then dropping a healing cloud, which restores 5% of max armor. So this mask is great for increasing your damage and protecting you. Let's go to the chest piece. I'm using a Bellstone Armory with 1% armor regen, and it comes with armor, explosive resistance, and armor regen. And I have 1 protection from elites mod. And since this is a support build, I'm using Vanguard as a talent. Deploying a shield makes it invulnerable for 5 seconds and grants 45% of your armor as bonus armor to all other allies for 20 seconds. With this talent, every time you pop your shield, it gives armor to your allies, which is very important with this mission, especially if you don't have a healer. I'm also using 2 RK. The 2 RK gives you 15% incoming repairs and 40% explosive resistance. Comes with armor, armor regen, as a protection, and I have a protection from elites mod. The talent, Adrenaline Rush, also has to your armor. Whenever you are within 10 meters of an enemy, gain 20% bonus armor for 5 seconds. stacks up to 3 times. The second RK comes with armor, armor regen, and hazard protection. Then for the holster and the knee pad, I'm using 2 improvised pieces. Comes with armor, hazard protection, and armor regen. And it has a protection from elites mod. Same thing with the knee pad, armor, hazard protection, armor regen, and a protection from elites mod. For the skills, I'm using a revive hive and a ballistic shield. For the mods on the shield, I'm using a 5% holstered regeneration and a 5% shield health. Let's look at the stats. Crit damage 45, crit chance 25. Armor regeneration is standing at 49,000 and protection from elites 70%. Explosive resistance 60%. Hazard protection 50. Bleed resistance 50. Blind resistance 50. And that's it for the build, guys. I will leave you now with some gameplay.
True Sons, Hyenas, Outcasts, Black Tusk, all at each other's throats. Nobody seems to know exactly what happened, but it definitely looks like the Pact is dead in the water. Too bad we didn't get Sokol over Anderson, but still, not a bad day's work.
I know a few Nats bullet holes. I'll start shaking the trees, see if I can't suss out where she's gone to ground.
Sir? General Anderson! Sir? Black Tusk teams have pulled out of sectors 3, 9, and 11. The men are starting to wonder what's going on. Sir, there's something else. Our political officers have confiscated dozens of these. It's all across the city, sir.